Chanze abaana abange balikoleeza abwe. Do you want me to compare Old Trafford and Nambole and KCC?
At least one or two things.
I just went direct because I wanted to finish my money. I wanted to eat my car money. So I went for the food. One would ask, what do they really gain after spending a lot of money and they don't get anything out of it? They do. They're satisfying their passion.
Pretty much ticking off a bucket list.
I know, that's a very expensive passion.
Twagenda ku stadium tour.
Old
Trafford. Jukira sister wange ayita amanyi basasula mmeka. Twatoka ali nga abato 20 pounds abakulu 8. Sister wange agera Liverpool. N'agamba nsasula nti zino zonna ssente nga sirina wa Man U. Biki ne mugamba kaliza abaana ngenda zikuwa. Naye mutabani we yayingira mu stands twayingira nga tuva mu dressing room tuyingira ekisaawe. Omanyi abaana abazungu engeri expressing nga essanyu aliraga. Omwana yatuuka ku kisaawe n'abanga agudde eddalo n'agamba mami touch me. Am I dreaming? Am I at a state of dreams? Nengamba kati pound 2 zosasudde. Can it buy what the boy is feeling?
The experience is
zaafunye oza nti pound 2 zisobola okugula omwana kyafunye. Nanga kati omwana ajja kusanyuka dadi yandeetedde akagatto. Ate nga gwakasiimye.
Kitegeera. Kabaka kuyingidde naye ngo.
Chanze abaana abange balikoleeza abwe.
No, but the experience ya wana Uganda ebintu solo bikola ebyo omuntu n'oteekawo experience maybe okale nga Nambole oba Kiwankulukuku oba wano KCC afa akasaawe ne wabeerawo embeera eyo ntino tozze ku mupiira gwokka.
Ozze ku stadium tour.
Ozze ku Old Trafford naye tozze just kulaba United and Brentford. Naye osooka n'obeerawo ka experience. Nga tozze just muzze kulaba mupiira.
Naye kati ku MTN Omondi otambulirawo n'okutambulirawo ennyinto oyinaawo.
Anti kati byebyo ebintu ebalina okulowoozaako on future nti otaddewo ki. Waliwo ka cinema kale nti oli azze waliwo playground y'abaana nti kantu aleka abaana out. So many things bayinza okukola.
Naye ate bw'oyingirawo kyekibeerawo experience ebeera etya nti omupiira gwa sawa
stadium tour terina kubeerawo ku match day. Abantu bayingira abantu babeera bangi. Nze lwe nagendawo naye sikoze order nolwokuba nti nalina tiketi yange ne mbagamba I talk to Patterson blah he was supposed to order for me but he forgot. So batufixinga mwera batwawula kuba twali mukaaga ne batuteekamu two groups basatu naye nga layini eri wali ogenda ku reservation watu olina reservation toyigenda abasajja bakola ssente.
That means ekisite ekikola ssente olune ku match day. Wabula throughout the whole
stadium tour zibaayo every day other than match day. Naye ennaku endala baba basolooza ate nga abantu bangi.
Imagine obala pound 2
abata 2 abakulu 40.
So the mupiira is by the way. No, but those ebisabe affe kyebirina okukola kuteekawo nga ka museum ne woteekawo ka museum KCC. These are the legends of the club.
Bichi KCC na museum.
Ngate egwange damba tena museum.
Watu gambe n'oba ogenze Nambole ngaliwo nti ono Dennis Obuwa
nzeba ayaring and baleetere ndowooza kati nze atambuddeko.
Welcome to a special edition of the Weekly Wowos, and we've started with some very interesting conversations. Today we have someone who's very, very special and very dear to Kawowo Sports. It's going to be very, very exciting, but a special edition of the Weekly Wowos where we'll be talking about Motor Rally and in particular WRC that is going to be happening in Kenya very, very, very soon. And we have a special guest. Let me start with the usual suspect, Franklin Kawero, the editor of Kawowo Sports.
Yep.
Nice to have you. But our special guest today is someone who's very popular in these spaces. She's not very common in your cameras, but she's very, very popular with Kawowo Sports. Our very own Rama Sharifah Namagoba. I've left out all the other details.
Yes,
but Sharifah, welcome. Nice to have you.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm glad to be here.
You were very vibrant before we started recording.
No, because we are talking about something that I experienced.
Uh-huh.
Yes, a great experience that I went through. So it brings out the excitement in me.
Other people want to know that experience.
No, we are talking about my visit at the Old Trafford.
Big United fan. She's spilling the details. Ruben Amron, fraud or the real deal?
It's a real deal. Give him time. Give him time. Probably by next season, when he has the players that want, and even the club is struggling with financial issues. You heard about the Red Devils trying to protest.
Yeah.
So I think the club generally is going through some financial problems, and it's kind of impact on the coach himself. But let's give him time. I feel it's a great deal.
I was listening to a podcast where they said maybe Abagaga United is Gaga, as they say, because a Mugaga should be a Mugaga. You come in there and you cause a splash.
You know, like you said, the moto yoko wakenjawulo, eh? They are Bagaga, but Babalanyo. I think they are a bit. They don't want to spend like the likes of the Manchester City bosses. They want to spend, but they also have other things that they need to consider. Yes. So, but the money is there.
Oh, so yeah, someone are thinking that they haven't caused the same sort of splash that the guys at City did, Newcastle, so Chelsea as well. By the way, when the new guy took over, they started spending money like like it's not going to run out of circulation.
But there's also spending and not getting results. What happened to Chelsea? They're just getting the results.
The youngest squad in the Premier League. I mean,
but they have started getting the result. But what happened before, previously?
Takes time. Takes time.
Speaking about, I know. Speaking about your experience at Old Trafford, which game was it? First of all, did we win?
Of course. I went with a good luck. I knew we were going to win that game. That was United versus Brentford, and we won it 2-1. Yes. But I think, Brentford scored first, and where I was seated, I was like, I'm going to be like my boss. Joseph Forino. I remember one time he posted that every time he visited Old Trafford, they lost. And I was like, I don't want to be like my boss. So I went with the good luck, and we won that game 2-1.
But the overall experience of visiting the place, if you try and you're a big sports fan as well, you might be biased towards Motor Rally, but I know I've seen you at KCCA.
I started with football.
Exactly. I've seen you at Nambole supporting the Cranes. If you try and compare the two experiences, what are some of the key lessons that we can learn as a country that is developing?
Do you want me to compare Old Trafford and Nambole and KCC?
At least one or two things. Something. There is something that
comparison.
There is something. There is something we can.
Because those people are up there. And then if I'm talking about KCC grounds, Nambole, they are here. They are in the big league.
That's why I'm saying the only way is up for us. So what are some of the small things we can do? We may not do big things.
Those people are well organized. Everything is done when it should be done at the right time. Because I remember I went there on a Friday. We did the stadium tour. I paid £40 for the stadium tour. Children go for £20. Everything is streamlined. Now, let me focus on the match day. Match day, the match was supposed to start at around 4 p.m. UK time. I was there by 2. By that time, outside the field, everywhere is full. People are having a lot of people are playing music, eating. Now my ticket, the one I bought, it was the hospitality package. It gave me a meal. You have to go for dinner before the game. So I did not go through the outside, the ambience. I just went direct because I wanted to finish my money. I wanted to eat my car money. So I went for the food. There is a lot of entertainment outside. By the fans. They do a lot. Pictures, music, and all that chanting. Glory, glory, Man United. Me, I had to spend my car money. I went to eat the food because my ticket came with a dinner before the game. So I went into the hospitality ticket. It was the international package. You mingle with so many people. Now, those are the Vagaga, because the ticket was actually, I bought the cheapest package, but it was to the international Ugandan standard. It was really expensive. So you meet so many people, you eat, then 10 minutes to the game, they direct you to where you're going to sit. So me, I sat at on the side of Bobby Charlton's side. The opposite is the Salix on their stand. So I was on the Bobby Charlton stand. I went for these lower seats. Many Ugandans who have attended at Old Trafford, you see them up there. We might not even see who the player is having the ball because you see them as if you're seeing small people, moving around. Those stadiums are very big. Me, I was at the lower stands, very good position. 10 minutes to the kickoff, the stadium is full. 5 minutes to half time, you think the stadium is almost empty. what I'm trying to show you is that the stadium was built whereby everything it moves smoothly. When the game is about to end, people can walk out freely, not like in Nambole where you're pushing yourself, you're worried of no pickpocketers, people fall, so everything was
Labisa.
done exactly. No, not Labisa, but people, they had their time.
Yeah.
They have the resources, which we don't, unfortunately. So entering the stadium, coming out is just at a smooth pace. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, the stadium is empty. 5 minutes to the game, everyone is where they're supposed to be. Your ticket has a seat number, that's where you're supposed to sit. I remember I was behind me, there was a lady they had 5 seats and one of them was disabled, so they took that person to the disabled section. They have their own space. Then one person wanted to sit in that very seat, but you cannot sit on that. If you did not buy a ticket for that seat, you can't. They rather leave it empty than another person sitting on that. And there are people who bought their seats for a season. If they don't attend, that seat will remain empty. No one will ever sit on that seat.
Wow.
So that's what the organization we're talking about. There's a lot to say about my list.
Season ticket holder cases. Do you have your special seat?
Talk about it. Do you?
When she was talking, my jaw was on the floor.
No, honestly, you will find empty seats. And
For
they
season
take,
ticket holders.
and they are written on. And even their names are written on for so and so.
Yeah.
If that person doesn't appear, the seat will remain empty. So these are the people usually who sell tickets to people like us or like you who go to searching for tickets because they are rare. I wanted a cheaper ticket, but I ended up buying an expensive ticket because I was like, I wanted to kick this thing to tick it off my bucket list.
Bucket list things there for Sharifah, Rama Namagoba. She's done so many things, but international as well. She has reminded me just to make sure I add the international word. But she's been all over the world, especially following around the cars that are very, very fast. She'll be talking to us about her experience and why she loves fast cars. But as she takes a break, I want to ask Franklin to give us his starter for the week. You're the one who reads all the scores on the website. What has interested you? What caught your eye in the last week?
The biggest thing that caught my eye last week was the stop-start performance for the Victoria Pals. I thought there were games where they looked really, really, really bad and left people around cricket wondering if they are a team that can compete again and go to the global qualifiers. But they found some room to adjust somehow within the tournament and found success at the end. I think that is what it takes for champions, always finding something in yourself to change the narrative and then winning the tournament. I think, especially against Namibia, I thought they showed a little bit above than what they actually put out.
Yeah, and the performances against Namibia, very important for them because Namibia is ranked higher than Uganda. So in a series where Uganda was able to win 3 times against Namibia, despite losing to Nepal and Hong Kong, China, that sort of works out very, very well for the Victoria Pals. Yeah. And for me as well, I thought that is what caught my eye, especially as we try and celebrate women in this particular month, that women's take up exceptionally very, very good. The level of cricket was on another level. They played close to, I think, 18 games, and you could just pick out about 3 that were not competitive. Yeah. All the other games were very, very competitive. They played at a high quality. That shows that women's cricket is going to another level. I spoke to the coach of the Namibian ladies, and the guy was like, I'm very surprised by how much you've improved as Uganda. Trust me, I'm watching you guys. So I think Uganda doing themselves a big, big favor, especially as they try and push for a place in the Women's Challenger Series that will be happening later in the year. Yeah. From the latest rankings, Uganda has put some daylight between them and whoever is in number 19, which is Tanzania. Yeah. So if things stay like this until the 1st of May, Uganda will be among the top 18 teams in the world that will qualify for that tournament. And certainly this series at home, I think, has given them a very, very big boost in terms of chasing that.
One of the things that I see that are interesting, the moment they put a ranking status to a tournament, the approach definitely changes from all teams.
The stakes become, I think, times 100 higher.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think putting that to this tournament, Initially, I thought it was going to be some random tournament. Hey, tuzanyemao.
No, high
Anyway.
stakes. And I think even for the new coaching team, Brian Masab and Deus Muhumza, they wanted to make an impression that they can take this team forward. The most important thing about these girls is taking them forward.
Yeah.
If you looked at the other teams, Nepal, Hong Kong, and Namibia as well, they had very many young girls. Compare that to Uganda, where sort of the team is starting to grow a bit old.
Yeah.
You feel that the next level for them is the next step. It's not like they are learning on the job anymore.
No.
A lot of the girls in that team have played for as many as 10 years.
10
So
years,
for
yes.
now, they need to be going to the next level. If you're not, they would rather leave you and then work with the next generation.
Yeah. And that showed with the selection, especially with the bowlers, when Irene Mtoni came in, and I mean she put her hand up. She put her hand up. I thought she was very, very impressive.
Yeah, most definitely. Irene leaving a very good impression for her. The second game, difficult for her. Her second international game had a couple of misfields in the loss to Hong Kong. But I also personally spoke to her and told her, you see, it's good for that to happen now rather than later. So you learn very early on the job. The Victoria Pals, I'm sure you've read that story on Kawowo Sports, winning the Women's Day Cup, defeating Namibia in that final by 8 wickets. But overall, managing to find at least 5 wins out of the 7 games they played in that series that was hosted by Uganda. Brilliant tournament there, hosted by the Uganda Cricket Association. Franklin Starter is also going to be mine, just to put them together, because somehow we came up with the same thing. But the Victoria Powers, kudos to you and well done. The women winning big time, Sharifah.
Yeah,
I don't know if it is because it is women's month, not Women's Day alone, but women's sports going on another level. Especially, we were talking about the girls recently. Now the cricket ladies also winning. Women and sports. You have been covering sports for a very long time. Do you think it's been a fair involvement of having ladies? Has sport been fair to women, or there's still an imbalance towards men in sports?
When you ask about sports, it's a bit general, but let me narrow it down to motorsport. With motorsport, it's not yet really fair. The unfortunate bit, motorsport is self-sponsored. So you have some riders, they are female, but still, the number of men is still bigger than the women, especially in motor rallying. We only have one lady over. The rest are men, so the balance is not there. And it's because of the finances.
I know you have some car money, so maybe sometime you'll be able to buy a car and get behind the wheel yourself if you want to.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
And by the way, Sharifah started already on that because she did some sort of co-driving in the past, but it ended before it began.
No, yes, actually, why I wanted to do co-driving, when I started writing for Kawowo, I wanted to have a feel of what I write about. When someone talks about brow, hairpin, max left, I wanted to know these things. Like when I'm writing about when someone went off in an hairpin, I wanted to know what does the hairpin exactly mean. Yeah, so that's the reason I wanted to start co-driving, to have a feel of when I write the story, I'll write it with passion, knowing what I'm talking about, knowing what is happening what happens in the cockpit, what does the co-driver go through when they are calling the notes. That's the whole motive why I wanted to do co-driving. Unfortunately, I could not balance writing and, co-driving and I was working then. Being a co-driver on a rally day, preparations to take you a whole week because you have to go do recce, then 2 days of the race. So you have the whole week out, and no one would give you such a leave. After 2 months they give you a week's leave. So that was the challenge. But I did some, like you said, it ended before it started. But yeah, I sat in the car for a few, not an event, it was autocross. But now I know, at least I know. I felt the cockpit.
How was the experience inside that cockpit? There's adrenaline, the speed.
The first
you
time,
get scared?
No, I'm not afraid of the speed. That's why I'm into motorsport. I'm not afraid. The first person, it's Jonas Kansim, I remember, who gave me that opportunity to co-drive him. We're in Sisa. It was autocross, and I was not doing I was not calling the notes because I was not prepared. He just told me, let us go. You're going to be my co-driver, let's go. And it was a short route, so he knew all the corners. I didn't have to call the notes, so he just drove. And he thought that I would be scared. I just sat back and it drove on.
People talk about how co-drivers, when you're learning, and especially you're going with a driver who has been around for a while, that you call notes at places where it has already passed. You say, hey, hump ahead, and he's like 10 meters out from the hump.
Well, that is so rare, because when you're doing notes, usually it's at crew when you're doing notes, and you go through preparations for an event, like the driver, where you find humps, because there are some drivers will be like, when we reach at the humps or where there is rough, I need to go, you call a slow note, something of that sort, or where there are some, what can I say? Okay, a driver will do the notes to their liking. You understand? So once the co-driver writes the notes, you have to go through them with your driver. So some drivers will make edits. Like, on that corner there is a tree, a mango tree. So instead of calling the note or saying max left, just tell me, on that tree, turn left. Yeah, some people, they call notes in English, but you put in your own
Language that you're going to
language
understand.
that you understand. Yes, when you reach that house, just tell me, on that house, left, on that tree. So you do the notes together.
It has to be a very good
So
relationship
if a
between.
driver goes faster than the note, then that's not a good pairing. One of them has a problem. You're not supposed to have such a co-driver if he or he calls the notes late.
So that
They
mean,
don't align with the speeds. They have to go along.
does that mean that during this week of preparation, you go through the route?
Yes, you do reconnaissance. That is the recce. You go through they do usually 2 passes. You go like on Wednesday, and then you go back on Thursday. So the first run is for you you write the notes, then the second one is to prove what you've written and also to make changes.
Interesting, a lot of work to do. But for you personally, your love is not just motor rally, but your love is for sports. And how do you get a bias towards the fast cars from all the other sports that you love?
Motorsport is all about traveling parts of the country, and I could not do that. I was just a young girl. But after my senior 6, that was 2011, yeah, I started going to some events, maybe Busika, Garuga. Before I could only go to Rubiri and my brother. I go with my brother to, there was a circuit. It was, I've forgotten the place, but it has since gone. It was an estate. So those are the closest areas that I would go to watch rally. After school, I started following the events, then football. I met Ismail Chionga. He was my friend. I used to post a lot on Facebook. Facebook was the in thing then. And then one time Chionga tells me, Gwerama, Rachtojano story. I think Kawowo had just started like 2 years or so. Then I was like, actually, Mami, I don't know how to write. I've not done these things before. Actually, Sionga came to me when I just finished my degree at Makerere. That was 2015. So he told me, why don't you write? I see you're following motorsport. You love motorsport. Why don't you come and consider writing? I was like, I don't know how to write. It's like, none of us knew how to write. But we are here anyway, so you can be like us. I remember the following week, there was an event, motocross at Garuga. I attempted writing a story. I did a preview, and I sent that story to Chionga, and he was like, Garama, what's the title of this story? And I told him, that statement in bold, that's the title. And he laughed. I don't know whether he remembers that story. He laughed. He's like, this can never be a title. It's like a paragraph. The title, it had like 20 words, and I put it in bold, and I gave it to him as my title to the story. It was explaining whatever was going to happen there. It's like, this can never be a title. So he corrected me as like, the title should be like this and this. So since then, I never looked back. I made it a habit to read 2 stories a day just to see how people write. That's how I came to writing for Kawowo. But I did some few football stories, but then my passion was more, because motorsports is more than just watching the cars. There's a lot of fun that happens there. It involves a lot of traveling, a lot of tourism. So my passion was there.
Shout out to Kojakawa Ismail Chionga. This is how, now we know how Rama came to Kawowo Sports, and now I'm starting to connect the dots. I'm learning why Chiyonga is called Koja.
By that time, it was not Koja.
Now he's a proper Koja. Is nurtured so many. Yeah, he's nurtured so many of us. But of course, as we continue about the motorsport, we want to talk about the big one, the WRC rally that's going to be happening in Kenya. And you've been a good follower of it as well. You follow the WRC all over the world, but this time I want to focus on the Kenya Safari Rally that has some Ugandan crews in it. Just talk to us, help one of there's so many readers understand what it is and why is it so important. Last year we saw their president William Ruto in one of those race cars to sort of try and promote the event. So it's surely a big deal for Magical Kenya, but why is it a big deal even here in Uganda?
WRC, call it World Rally Championship. It's a global event. You can hear World Rally Championship. Like you would see Formula One or World Cup. The World Cup is just a tournament that comes once in 4 years. So you would equate it to World Cup being a global, and people from all over the world would participate. So the best of the best in motorsport will be in that event, World Rally Championship, which is it's seasonal. So Kenya Safari Rally regained the slot. There's a lot of history when it comes to Safari Rally Kenya. I don't want to go into that. That would take another episode or 2 years when I'm talking about the history of Safari Rally. From where it started to where it is, because it was never like this. Because it's now a short rally. Before Safari Rally it took days, a lot of kilometers. But WRC, like I've told you, it's a global event contested by so many people from different nations. And coming to Kenya regained its slot on the WRC calendar. That was in 2020. Unfortunately, COVID hit us. That year it was postponed to 2021. So after a long time since it left Kenya, it regained the status in 2021. That was the first event. The question was, how is it important? How is it important is, you see, Uganda was, let's go to football. Why FUFA was bidding to have African Cup coming to Uganda. You see, there's a lot of advantages that we get as a country. Revenue, tourism. The country overall will be benefiting from visitors coming here and also being promoted at the global level. So Kenya, right now, Kenya is being talked about ever since they knew that Safari is still there. Kenya has gained a lot from WRC Safari. They have invested in WRC Safari Rally. A lot of money has been invested because this is not a small event. A lot of money has to be injected in organizing that event, because in the first place you have to pay to have that event coming, regardless of the other technicalities that, or the prerequisites you have to go through, you have to pay. So Kenya is gaining from Safari Rally. That's why they still have it until 2026, and I believe they might renew their contract.
Then you see, when Sharifah talks about how important having a global event, an event where you're going to have you would call superstars of the sport. I only imagine, as she talked about football, if Uganda can have a sort of say the power rally being elevated to a world rally event, and you have the top drivers on the planet coming here. And look, these drivers have very, very, very big teams behind them.
Yes.
Very, very big teams behind them. And when you get such people in, the kind of exposure that you're giving, because one, the drivers have very big following, okay? The teams have very big following. And then you're exposing your own drivers to top competitors. They're always going to pick something that is positive in terms of how they approach rallies, how they organize, and all that. Now, there's no way now you can compare how the Kenya Federation, for example, that is around organizing a World Rally Championship to ours, whose best is an Africa Rally Championship event or the Power Rally. So the standard even elevates. And for me, that is one thing that puts really Kenya ahead of us when it comes to events like this.
You're even promoting the country. Just remember when Rwanda, when the president Paul Kagame announced that they are bidding for Formula One, how many motorsport articles were talking about Rwanda? Everyone was talking about, on top of what the president had really promoted Rwanda. Now Rwanda connected with Formula One.
Even when you don't get, I mean, that bid, the mere fact that you're
Exactly.
going to have your story
You're
headline,
attempting,
the BBC
yes.
headline, Marker headline.
So
Everyone will be wanting to know, now this Rwanda, this small country,
how come?
Yeah.
You understand? So people will be intrigued to find out more, and this will actually people will come in to start visiting Rwanda, and the government will be earning some
Even way
money.
before the whole event comes in.
Yes.
Yeah, so clearly, just to explain it to those of us who are at this level, the Kenya Safari Rally is in Formula One, where you go to different countries. You go to Austria, you go to
same.
Austria, you go to Australia. This is one of those World
Round.
Rally calendar events.
Yes,
So
Safari Rally.
if you're trying to be the best rally driver in the world, you have to come to
Kenya.
you have to come to Kenya to collect some points, and all the big teams will be there, Ford and all those other teams.
That's true. Like you said, this is just one round of the World Rally Championship. It goes to so many countries. But for you to be part of it, like, should I talk about the Ugandan rally, the Ugandan drivers?
That's what I was going to say. That
Yes.
for Ugandan driver,
To-
now how
yeah.
do they be, since they are not part of the other World Rally events? How do they get to be part of the Kenya Safari Rally?
WRC is different from Formula One, because with Formula One, the teams are already streamlined at the beginning of the season. No any other addition, unless the team usually have substitutes. I call them the substitutes, or reserve drivers. So unless one driver has a problem, then another driver will come in. But with motorsport, the teams are already there. The teams are already there that are going to compete for the whole season. Now a driver from any other country, let's say for example, if it was possible, a driver from Uganda wants to go and compete for the World Rally Championship points, that is something different. But you can participate in an event, like just the Kenyans are participating in the WRC event, the Safari Rally Kenya, but they are not scoring towards the WRC points. Yeah, that go to the bid of finding out who will be the World Rally Champion that season. Yeah, that is quite different. So Yasin Nasa and the likes of Timothy Gawaya, they're the ones representing Uganda. But they will not be scoring, though they will be classified under WRC, but not the priority crews. So the priority crews are those who are registered to score for WRC events, and they belong to different teams like Toyota Gazoo, there's M Sport, they have their teams just like you see Mercedes, Ferrari having their own drivers.
Interesting. And for Ugandan drivers, you mentioned the two Ugandan drivers who will be in it this year, Yasin Nasa and Timothy Gawaya. For them, what does it take? I've always heard that it is very, very expensive in terms of your car should be this, your car should be that. The requirements for a Ugandan rally crew to take part in the Kenya Safari Rally. Break it down, cost, and all those things.
Everyone wishes to be part of the Safari Rally, but it's an expensive event. From the preparations, the entry fee itself, it's a bit expensive. Right now, if you look at the entry list, Yasin Nasa is under the WRC, and will appear on the result sheet. But there is what they call priority P1, priority crew 1, and then the P2, and then the P3. So the P1 are the manufacturer crews. That's a Hyundai, Toyota, Gazoo, and then Motorsport. So they are drivers that are categorized under the priority, and they drive for the manufacturers. Then the P2, and they also drive the Rally 1 cars, the bigger cars. Now there is the P2, they drive the Rally 2 cars, like Yasin Nasa drives. But they are also priority crews under P2. I don't know whether you're getting me. So, yeah. So those are registered to score points in WRC at the end of the WRC season. They are scoring for a championship. But now you're seeing NASA, for him to be classified in Safari Rally, he could be classified under P2 because his car is qualifies to participate in P2. It's the same car that the people in Rally 2, rather in WRC2 are driving. It's the same car, though those foreigners are driving a newer version, but it's almost the same car. He could score. Actually, Kenyans are scoring under the P2. They will be scoring points, and they will be televised on the WRC Plus. But for them, they're exempted. They don't pay for. If Yasinasa wanted to be categorized under WRC2, he had to pay some money, a lot of euros, to be categorized under WRC2. But being part of the WRC2 also has a disadvantage that you'll be watched in whatever you're doing. A lot of fines. If you do a mistake, there's a lot of fine, like you see in Formula 1, they're talking about penalties, fines. Any mistake, you're penalized with money. So it's a risk for you to put in a lot of money and then you're watched in whatever move that you're making. So that's why I had an opportunity to talk to Yasin, because I asked him that, why don't you go for WRC2? And then be classified with the Kenyans. He said, no, this is a lot of money. But for the Kenyans, the fact that it's on the home ground, for them, they're exempted. For as long as you have a car that falls in the same category, you're classified in that category. So it's a lot of money. This is an event. Look at Yasin Nasser, who is used to Ugandan rallies, Kenyan rallies, where the rallies would go for 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. No, I'm talking about the whole preparation. In Uganda, the rallies usually run for 2 days. Considering the recce, someone can even go and do recce on Thursday, do scrutineering on Friday, then the race starts on Saturday, Sunday. But now Kenya Safari Rally, this is a rally that is going to take over 1,000 kilometers. Transport and competitive stages combined, 1,000, because they are starting recce today. The whole week, it's all about motorsport. They're going to do recce today, tomorrow, then on Wednesday, they shakedown. Shakedown is mandatory. It's a primary stage for the WRC crews. It's mandatory for the WRC crews. That's when the drivers do the fine-tuning, checking the cars, the intercoms, are they working, the temperature. They need to align it with the conditions. Because now they are coming from Sweden. They were racing on snow. Now they are coming to gravel. Though the settings has to change. So shakedown, it's a day for fine-tuning their cars. Yes, exactly. The temperature, does it align with the does it align with the temperatures of the shocks? The setup, is it okay? So on Thursday they will go to Kasarani. Ceremonial start will be at KICC on Thursday. Then they go to Kasarani in the afternoon. This time around they added another stage. The last previous safaris, they were only, or Thursday was only for Spa Special, but now they added another stage after Spa Special. Then rally proper starts on Thursday from Kasarani until Sunday. So all those days you're spending, I mean, you have technical team, you have to, accommodate a lot of spending. Now we are talking about when the event starts. There are a lot of preparation that happened prior. So it's a lot of money that really goes in, but if you ask me what drivers get out of it, like our drivers, leave alone the other who are professional, because it's an amateur sport. People sponsor themselves. They are trying to maybe satisfy their passion, because one would ask, what do they really gain after spending a lot of money and they don't get anything out of it? They do. They're satisfying their passion.
Pretty much taking off a bucket list.
I know, that's a very expensive passion.
When Sharifah talks about how expensive it is to get into rally, I mean Safari Rally alone, look, you're coming from Uganda. You have a team of your garage of, let's say, 10 to 15 people, okay? You're transporting those people from Kampala to Nairobi, then back to Naivasha, okay? Where most of the stuff is going to be, you have to take care of their accommodation, their feeding. I mean, carrying the car carrier from Uganda to Nairobi, and then back to every competitive stage where you have to, obviously this car is not moving. It has to be on a carrier in whatever, in where the stages are not active. So the amount of money that you need to pretty much put together all this kind of stuff, I think it is very, very, very high. High. I mean, you can only look at it when even within just the internalize that look, you're going to Hoima, you're going to Mbarara, and then you have to take care of your team to go to Mbarara. That alone, you know how expensive it is.
Self-sponsored. You don't have a sponsor.
Yeah, I can imagine self-sponsor. That is really some expensive passion for the Ugandan crews. And at the end of the day, is that all, or the does the exposure come with some other opportunities for especially the Ugandan crews?
I will sample it on passion.
Because
I would say that if you do such events, you attract sponsors. But honestly, the sponsors don't give much. I have an opportunity to know what you've been seeing. I don't want to mention the company, but you've been seeing unveiling of sponsorship to these crews, the money they get. But if you look at that money and you talk to the driver how much they spend in an event and in a year, it doesn't even does not even work on an event. You understand? The money they give them. So it doesn't even, the exposure does not even attract sponsors. But you will need to have a driver and ask them, what do you really gain from this? You will know that this is all about passion and doing something that you love.
Yeah. You're willing to break the bank
Exactly.
for your passion. And you are experts, so when you speak to us, it's like we're speaking to the drivers anyway. So this year's edition, just give us the details. When you've broken it down, but when can someone, if there are other people who follow motorsport on WC platforms,
maybe
can they start to look at the Ugandan guys, and all that detail?
Maybe I can talk about, let me first talk about Yasin Nasser and the other crew that is happening. By the way, we also have Ugandan who is going to be a co-driver, who will be in the other seat. She's also representing Uganda as a co-driver, that is Mildred Chibuka. But Yasin Nasser is going to Safari.
She's a co-driver
yes,
for
a co-driver for
Kenyan
Kenyan, yeah. She's going to co-drive for Kenyan. Yasin Nasser is going for Safari Rally for a third time. Safari Rally as the WRC, because there is Safari Rally before, and then now we are talking about WRC. So this is his third attempt, and he has not finished. He has not registered a finish before. The two attempts were rather disappointing. The first event, he entered it with a Subaru GBV. And Yasin Nasser was the only Ugandan categorized under WRC, while the others did not pass the scrutineering and were categorized under the national category. On leg 2, he had an engine knock. So he ended the event prematurely and he could not do a restart the next day. So that was the end of the rally for him. Last year, he entered with the Ford Fiesta Rally 2. A lot of excitement. By the way, it's nicknamed the 1 billion car here in Uganda. And yeah, it's indeed worth that much because it's a factory car. So he entered with the Ford Fiesta. Everyone was excited. Himself was excited because it could match with the foreign crews, the WRC crews. They were driving those WRC too. So he thought he could do something and he could register a finish this time around. Unfortunately, on leg 2, yes, in Kedong stage. Kedong is one of those famous stages. Everyone is looking out for it. It has a lot of fish. Fish is a fufu. Now unasanga a pile of fufu, and when you put your hand like this, the fufu come up, sir. There's a lot of fish there. So many, these WRC cars, it was on the past 2, so the WRC cars are the strongest. So they're on past 2, they dug a ditch in that fish. So when Yasin Nasser came, not only Yasin Nasser, there is another car, the Ford Fiesta, that ditch almost took that Ford, the WRC car Ford. It almost went off. So Yasin Nasser came, and then that ditch took him off, and he rode like 4 times. And that road did not take him out of the event, but also out of the all season. He had to buy a new shell for the car. So he was out of the all season. When you look at that car, you might think it's an old car, but the shelf is new. You had to order for another one in the UK. So he's now going back. He's trying to look for a finish. And he says that once I get the finish, that could probably elevate me into thinking about going for Africa Rally Championship this season.
Yeah.
So, pretty much what you're saying is that Yasin has not decided whether we should do the Africa Rally Championship or not.
No, no.
What happens in the Safari Rally is what will determine whether I should do that or not.
Yes, according to him, he said that the results from Safari Rally will determine whether he goes for Africa Rally Championship. Because this time around, WRC was doubled with Africa Rally Championship. It has never happened before. But we all know that everyone is struggling financially, so even the countries are struggling, the organizers. Last year, Kenya cancelled one ARC event. So this time around, they got an opportunity. They're like, why couldn't we just mix it with the yes. So they are killing two birds with one stone. All the local crews that are participating will be eligible for Africa Rally Championship points. So Yasin Lassa is looking at that opportunity that if I finish here, there are not so many people who are going for Africa Rally Championship. So whatever points that I collect here, they could really push me into thinking about doing Africa Rally Championship. He attempted it the previous year in 2023. Yasin Lassa was one of the contenders and he lost it in Rwanda. He lost it in a mechanical problem, and that was the end for him. And it went to Karan Patel for the last 2 years. He's the reigning Africa Rally Championship. So we hope it has been a long time since a Ugandan won the Africa Rally Championship. So we hope that was Charles the late Manj. So we hope that Yasin Lassa will be able to go for Africa Rally Championship.
Yeah, all right. Then for the fun experience, a lot of Ugandan fans love the Kenya Safari Rally. Just talk to us about that fun experience, and if someone doesn't know, how do they, is there a fans group that they can be part of? How do all you guys all of you meet each other, like, hey, Ugandan flag, babali, and then you fall in?
Last year, Luto has been here. Last year, that's when Luto was given a drive. I think the previous year, not last year, the previous year, because Luto has now gone for 2 terms.
Yes, I think.
Yes, I think it's the previous year that Ruto was given. Ruto, the president, sorry, I need to accord the title. The president of Kenya, yeah. Last year, a lot of Ugandans were at Kasarani. You understand? Kenya, you think that Kenyan flag will be, flying out high everywhere, but it were the Ugandan flags that were being very visible at the stages. And the president himself made a comment on X that it was encouraging Kenyans to go and watch the Safari Rally because it seems that the Ugandans were, taking over. So what I'm trying to say is motorsports generally, it's more than watching the cars, a lot of fun. It's all about traveling, seeing new places, meeting so many people, a lot of fun behind the scenes. There are so many fans who are going. Right now, I'm sure of 5 buses. Before actually Kenya, the Magic Kenya tourism sponsored some. There is a Ugandan who is organizing the fans called Emaru Emma. They sponsored him with buses to go to Safari Rally, basing on what they saw the previous year. So lots of Ugandans will go. Actually, on shakedown, out of the many fans at the shakedown, 80% are Ugandans. Kenyans don't really understand motorsport. They do understand, but only those who are within the sport. But those who don't know the sport, they will watch the rallies on transport section. The cars already is from competing, and for them they'll be on the transport section. When the car is not even in the competitive mode, you find them on the streets. But for those people who want to go, there are a lot of forums on Facebook, on X. People are advertising. For those who want to go to Safari Rally. Emaru, you can check him out, Emaru Emma, he has buses. You can contact him, you know how to go. They are traveling on Wednesday.
And a proper rally fan in Uganda is not I don't know, maybe the Kenyans, because the sport is for sort of the hubs. So the local person will be like, I don't want to be involved in that. Yet for motorsport here is different. When there's a rally in Uganda, and you try and go to Wandegia, there's that car line where they have many garages, and you try and go to Wandegia on that particular time during that weekend, it may be hard for you to find a mechanic.
Now, I try to analyze that. You see, now Chikankane is a mechanic also himself. He has shops, his business is also a mechanic, yes. And several drivers are like that. Sebuguzi is also a mechanic himself. So he has a following of people like, that level. And then he has the following from the top. Yeah. So you find yourself pulling people from all corners, uptown and Low town.
Mm.
Yes, unlike with Kenya. Kenya is strictly for the rich. And the rich usually mingle with who? Maybe they don't mingle with whoever, like here in Uganda. So when Chikankane is going to take part in an event, the all of Wandegea will be empty. All of the garages in Wandegea will be empty. And also other garages. We really relate with these people. They are closer to us.
Yeah.
Unlike with Kenya. Kenya, most of the people was dominated by the Indians and the whites. Few people like us. So even the real Kenyans, they're all Kenyans, but even the real Kenyans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even the real Kenyans, yes, they were homies. Like, they also don't really associate, they don't really go down. So who are you going to attract? That's why they watch these events on the streets. But here you find Duncan at the garages chatting with people, you know. He's relatable. You feel like he's one of our own.
That's why you'd want to go and support him.
Exactly.
And that I think makes a lot of sense when Sharifah talks about the connection that our rail drivers have with the locals. Again, I happen to pass by Mengo at Sewuguzi's garage.
Yeah.
I've been there several times, and the kind of people you find there, this is a person you know. Hey, Sewuguzi aliwa lero tuliwa, tuli hoima, tuli jinja. Garage bate chakola. They'll be like, okay, this is our guy. Let's go and support. Okay, and when you have that kind of connection with the everyday person, I mean, even their passion grows. Even the people who are associated with them, if say Sharifah's husband is part of that guy, definitely people around Sharifah will also be
My
part.
husband. Now, I'll give you another scenario. You see Rakataka.
She's not yet taken, people, don't worry.
You see Rakataka, we do fundraising for drivers to buy cars.
Yeah.
You don't find that anywhere. When Kenyans hear that you give money to the drivers to buy car, like how? Where do you find that?
Doesn't make sense.
You understand? So we are unique compared to the rest of the countries that are doing motorsport. Actually, many countries are falling off, but Uganda will remain strong. We are the ones are actually still raising the flag high when it comes to motorsport in the region. South Africa, they are losing it. Zambia, they are also losing it. Tanzania, they even withdrew from the African Rally Championship, though they are planning to get back. You understand? So for motorsport in Uganda and motorsport, we are one.
A different kind of
Yeah.
breed of motor rally
Exactly.
fans, and you've been all over. You've been to Europe as well to follow the WRC.
Yes.
Is it the same? Do you find fans who are like you, or you find guys who are working for Google microphones and they get surprised at Kawowo Sports? How can you even afford a trip to come here?
Yeah, so many people have asked that. My first WRC event was in Turkey, and that's the time when Safari Rally was pushing for that slot. To come back to the WRC calendar. And when I remember that trip, it was the first experience of a WRC event. I'd never seen a WRC event before. But I used to attract a lot of attention because there were no people like me when I went to the service park, when I went to the media center. And just because Safari Rally was on people's lips a lot, that Safari wants to come to the calendar, some people were opposing it. Yeah, some people were opposing it, like, how can we? They still have this mentality of the Africa before. They have not even been here, but like, why would we go to Africa? Shall we have where to sleep? So people used to ask me a lot of questions. How is Safari Rally like? When I told these people that I'm from Uganda, I'd be like, huh? A Ugandan trying to push for Safari? So they used to ask me questions about Kenya, even those that I didn't know. So people would ask that, shall we have hotels where to sleep? Shall we have this? Should I come with a mosquito net? You understand? So, but when you look at the fans, in Turkey, I didn't find lots of fans. It's just like the vibe of Kenya. Few, only those coming from the rest of the European countries to come and watch. They are actually fans who go everywhere following their drivers.
Yeah.
There are these Estonians, they will follow Oit Tanak everywhere. Africa is very far, Kenya is very far, probably have a lot of them. It's quite expensive for them. But when it comes to Europe, there is that Oit Tanak army. They will follow WRC everywhere. Just like Ugandans follow Safari, where there is rally, we go. Actually, Emaru, his team calls it the rally hunters. We hunt rallies. Where there is a rally, we shall go. So in Europe, there are some countries that you'll find lots of fans. Actually, they have big. When you go to Portugal, it's massive. I've not attended Portugal even. That's on my bucket list. It's really massive. They're just like Ugandans.
Yeah.
The enthusiasm is top notch.
Wow.
So that, but the experience of, it's almost the same.
Yeah.
We all love rally.
Yeah, I like that. I like the in cricket we have there's an English banyan, so I've just learned something new. The rally hunters.
Exactly.
So that's a good one. But for you, I'm sure you're going to have a great experience at the Kenya Safari Rally. We expect you back to bring us information and how everything went.
Actually,
Whether Yasin Nasser was able to get his finish.
His finish.
Yeah.
We just hope. I believe he will.
Yeah.
He has put in a lot of effort. I don't know whether he's physically fit, because with Safari Rally you need to be fit, because this is a rally that is going to take 4 days. You're in the cockpit, 1,000 kilometers from the stages. The stages are around 300 kilometers. 300, yes, competitive stages, but now the liaison, it makes it a long distance. Just imagine you're a driver, 1,000 kilometers. You're up and down from Kenya to Naivasha, from the stage to, it's a lot of work. So you might have the skills, but if you're not fit,
Yeah.
it can knock you down.
David Gawaya, any expectations from him?
David Gawaya, sorry, I had not talked about David Gawaya. David Gawaya is taking a famous Fiat Ibiza. It's a 2-wheel drive. So many people will be like, why would he take a 2-wheel? Even Frank is like, hey.
How did you take a 2-wheel to Safari?
Exactly. But a Safari has ever, anyway, this is now new modern Safari. But two-wheel cars were the in, and Safari, Gawaya's car is a WRC spec car. It's homologated. I believe if he prepared himself, he'll go through the checks, the technical checks easily, because he has been preparing. So it's a 2-wheel, and like I told you, we serve our passions.
Yeah.
Gawaya has a dream of being part of the WRC, and that car qualifies to be in WRC. It might be classified under, it will be classified under the national, definitely, but it's a
Being there
WRC.
alone.
You're going to race on the same stages as the world's best drivers are racing on.
Yeah.
You're going through the same organization. You're going to be given the tag as Cadel of Ampera is going to put on as a driver. Yours is also showing WRC Safari Rally, Timo Gawaya, while Cadel of Ampera.
takes a lot
you
of
understand?
pride.
So it's going to be going through the same experience as these other drivers are going through. So that is something that is, it's a dream come true.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, so many drivers would want to go there, but the logistics really kind of restrain them.
Yeah, bucket list stuff there for David Gawaya. You mentioned about the lady
Timothy
co-driver.
The
Gawaya.
lady, that is Mildred Shiwoka. I learned that yesterday she was given a slow. She's going to co-drive a Kenyan, but they will be categorized in the national.
In the
not
nationals.
the WRC, yes, but it's still WRC. Whether in the national or not, it's WRC Safari Rally Kenya.
Interesting. How do we watch? How do we follow you?
Follow
Of course, we
me.
shall read your story, but how do
Yes.
you watch? How can Ugandans
First
watch?
they need to read my stories, but you can only watch on WRC Plus.
Okay.
Because it's not on DSTV, but KCB will be hearing some stages, especially the super
KBC.
special KCB, Kenya. Is it KBC?
KBC.
Yes. Kenya, they'll be broadcasting some stages, but not all, like the power stage and the super special. It will be live. Then those who can subscribe on WRC Plus, or just go on Upper Sport. Yeah, that's some people that I work with. Upper Sport, they always bring the live feeds in all the motorsport events, especially when Yasin Nasser is racing. I'm sure they will be broadcasting that. So Upper Sport, KBC, and Kawowo Sports.
Yeah, most definitely. Kawowo is where you start, and then you will find the details elsewhere.
Exactly.
But Rama, thank you very much for that amazing stories from why first of all you love fast cars, and also telling us about the whole experience for the WRC. We'll be following you very, very closely, and we hope to have you back from Kenya to tell us how everything went, what was interesting, what did we miss, especially maybe you didn't get an opportunity to write about it, but what did we miss, and what should people get to know about the experience of the WRC, the Kenya Safari Rally that will be happening this weekend in Kenya. Clearly, the Ugandan fans, they are always outnumbering the Kenyans. Please continue flying our flag very, very high. Rama, always a pleasure to have you. First of very many, I'm sure.
Yep.
Hope so.
Inshallah.
akomewo ifasa so kaisa akabo tumugwirerwa next nayagadde mu two-wheel drive
Two-wheel, njatandikira mu nenesha.
Rama, thank you very much, and we are happy to have you. Hopefully, we can have you as many times as possible on the weekly Wowos.
I am Kawowo.
Of course.
So this
Say
is
wa
Kawowo.
Kawowo.
Yes.
Nako kaisiza.
Frankly, staying with you, now we'll like to focus a lot more about the Victoria Powers in detail.
Yeah.
The girls winning the series, which gives them an opportunity. From last time I checked, they put some distance between themselves and a 19th place Tanzania. Tanzania remaining on 93 points. Uganda now moving to 111. Yeah. 4 points behind, not 4 points, 5 points behind Namibia, 119 for them. But the purpose is that Uganda is chasing a place in the World Challenger Series that will be happening later in the year. What did you make of the performance of the girls in this particular series?
I want to use the analogy of one of my friends that we're having a conversation with. Like me, he believes that when you score under 100 as a setter in women's cricket, you shouldn't be able to win that game. Actually, if you win, he called it a fluke. That is a fluke if you win when you have set under 100 and the other team is chasing. But I want to give credit to how, with all due respect, we did not bat very well throughout the tournament because we know for sure Janet is better than what she gave us. Obviously, Alako has fallen off, but she's a good batter, and she hasn't given anything the whole tournament. So in terms of batting, the team did not really bat well. But again, most Ugandan teams, the strongest point is always in the fielding, and you always going to get 100% from the bowlers. And again, the kind of changes that they made with the top opening at the top, it was impressive for me. I think I was a bit worried that they brought in Irene way too early, the pressure of opening, but the way she took on the moment, I think I was particularly impressed.
Yeah, the girl from the place always producing a lot of talent. Irene Mutoni coming from Mbale, and it's a lot of talent that comes out of that region, the eastern part of Uganda. But you make very some valid points. For me, I expect the standard of the Victoria Powers to go up, given what they saw at the global qualifiers in Abu Dhabi. Yeah. I think they still play at the level where they want to compete with teams in Africa. Yes. And yet, I think they are past that stage. They need to go to the next level. While you try and measure yourself against the teams here, they are leveling up as well. Rwanda has started to improve a lot, Nigeria as well. So when you stay at that level, you're not very ambitious, in my opinion.
And when they start picking up wins on you, say, Tebali wala.
Exactly. I would rather they aim for the moon and at least fall amongst the stars. For now, it feels like they're aiming for the stars, and you most likely land on the sun, which will burn you. Yeah. And that's where I feel that it's still a bit lacking. You need to beat these teams and beat them comprehensively, so that you start thinking about the next level.
I was looking at how the kind of changes that the new coaches are trying to make with their batting lineup, the way they are shuffling it. Obviously, we were used to having Kevin open. She's way down. Of course, people were complaining, hey, Amiranyo Upira. And I think that got to the ears of the coaches. But I think what this tournament has shown that we don't have an opening pair that is consistent. I mean, in my opinion,
look, had as many as three different combinations.
And in my opinion, what I've learned with cricket over time is that, especially women's cricket, is that if the girls who are on the crease are not talking, whether on the crease or just behind the scenes, like whether, I mean, in team interactions and all that, you realize that the communication, should we take this one, should we not? For how long should we stay on, and that kind of stuff. You see, when, for example, Immaculate and Pina are batting, there is a lot of
some good chemistry.
Good chemistry, that helps the team get the runs. Yeah. And now at the top, the two that open, there's not everybody's kind of trying to get something for the team, but they are not really there. I'm not talking. And I came to think about of how I know for a fact that Kevin and the captain are quite good friends for sure, off the pitch. And how about explore the possibility of bringing Kevin back to bat with Janet to open up the top and see how that works? I know it is still in the experimental process and all that. I mean, coach is trying to figure out what works and what does not work. I was looking forward to seeing if they could try Kevin up at the top with Jen and see how that works out.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, more you need to be more dynamic in how things work. Keep changing things around until you find what works for you, and hopefully the Victoria Pals can continue to do that. The Victoria Pals will be going to Namibia later, early next month, to take part in the Capricorn Series. Why they are playing so many tournaments, you need to play at least 8 T20 Is between now and 1st May for you to qualify for that Challenger Series. So they need to move around so that they collect those points, as many as possible. But on that path, you need to make sure you're not losing, because if you keep losing, then you drop out. But hopefully they can be able to, qualify among the top 18. And as we were speaking about the Victoria Powers, we were joined by our regular panelists, Kyle Kule Edwin. Nice shot, by the way.
Why are you?
Very nice shot from you. We did get your weekly starter. I don't know where you want to start from. What caught your eye last week? Just to get that out of quickly, and you settle in.
Yeah, my weekly starter comes from basketball. We had a friendly whereby St. Noah took on Jetty Lady Jaguars. Jetty Lady Jaguars came 45 minutes late from the time that was agreed to start the game or tip off the game. But the girls of St. Noah, it is a school based in Zana. They were already on court, and they had done warm-ups for more than an hour, because while Shakira and the girls that were in Afrobasket kept on discussing, there was that emerging energy that was coming out of the girls to say, no, whoever is coming here, we want to show them that we might be in high school, but we are ready to go toe-to-toe with the big girls. And surely it came to live that Senua won that game by quite a big margin, which I think that Senua is now starting to knock on the door to go on and show teams that there is more talent in the young girls, and if you handle them well, then they can give you all the good basketball that you might be thinking about. I was talking with Franklin about the same game yesterday, and I was asking, okay, if now these young girls can be disciplining teams that are in the league, don't you think we are lagging a bit behind? And maybe he can tell us more of how he saw the game, but also of how he rates those girls of St. Noah girls.
Yeah, Jetty Jaguars,
The
very
man
superior
talks about the
professional
high
from
school
them.
girls like they have not played basketball before. Two of them were at Afro Basket qualifiers. Oh, were they not?
Yeah, they were there, but they were there like I want to call it understudy. They didn't get
So they
many
got their
minutes.
their
But
notes.
They were there for the experience.
Yes, but surely
They were not going to be asked to win the game for Uganda.
exactly. But now on this side, there was at least Shakira, who was the point guard of the team, and you felt like, okay, if now you have the likes of Shakira, this is a team. Jetty went all the way to end with the bronze in the previous campaign, and now you're facing off with the high school girls who are taking you for every number. Surely, you want
Maybe
to rate those
I want
girls
to ask,
highly.
like a fella, that in the past, we used to know Nabisuns as a girl, the school for basketball, especially in girls' basketball.
Yeah.
It's St. Noah. By the time you have two players, a basketball team is not very big.
Yeah,
If
12.
you have two out of 12 on the national team, that means that you're doing something that maybe other schools are not doing.
Yeah, the basketball program at Sentinel is really not just the basketball, the sports program at Sentinel is up top. Again, just I think that this very week, the Lady Cardinals of UCU were there playing a friendly with their girls football team, and as you would expect, it still went their side because I think the sports program in the school is quite very, very serious.
Now, Frank, just about that game, the head coach of the UCU football's team is the head coach of St. Noah girls team. So nearly, you would tell that he knew the girls at this side.
Yeah, and you see when you have a team that is playing in the second tier of Ugandan football, women football, being beaten by a high school team, you know that there is something that is right happening there. And when a team that is expected to challenge for the title this season in JT Jaguars, Led Jaguars, beaten by the high school kids, you know there's something right that is going on there. Now, what has happened with Senua girls is that, one, in terms of fitness alone, the kids are fit. They have endurance. They play with a free spirit, where you're not going to be, hey, Chino Chiganye. They move on so fast. They're not really about, I would say, getting things right, always perfect, no. They come, the way they defend is they are going to pressure the ball and then leave one person up. When you score a basket, they move on so fast, let's get the next one. And that kind of mentality, when for kids as young as that, when they grow with that, it becomes very, very hard to be beaten. And that is something that you're not going to find up in the top league. There's always some sort of casualness. We shall get the next one. But in doing that, the kids are running away with it. And look, they are talented, extremely talented. I mean, when the two kids come to be part of the national team, in a league where there are 10 teams and some are not even contributing a single player, and you're talking top teams like KCCA, not bringing a player up to be part of the national team. I mean, they would have, but she was busy with work. But now, when you replace her with a kid, and the kid is as talented as that, and during the training camp, by the way, Anyango was marking Shakira, okay, on opposite sides. So it was later and later. Let's see who beats this, and it is going to be very hard. Senua is really top.
Yeah, so it's not just basketball, but it's the whole sports program.
Whole
At
sports
St.
program,
Noah.
yes.
You give me a hint. We should interest them in cricket as well.
Yeah.
See if it is something
see
they
if
could
they
be
can
interested
pick
in taking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the love of sports at St. Noah has lived for long, because even the man that is the director at Vipers and the owner of Chitende was once a head teacher at St. Noah. And if you hear of the sports program and how it started, he has quite an integral of it or stand in whatever they are doing. And now you see they have different teams across, because even the boys team, the primary boys team, because they have a primary school, finished, I think, third in the Buganda school games, which shows you that they are trying to do different things, but they are excelling in whatever they are trying to do.
Wow, those are the sort of schools I want my kids to go to.
I'm only
Sports is a
hoping
big deal.
I'm only hoping that this crop of girls go up. I think right now the only girl that I can remember was at St. Noah right now should be Azida Nabayunga. But she's in Jaguars as well. She was at UCU. I hope this crop of girls that are there right now can get some sort of cannot walk through and go up the top, because this is not the talent that you want to lose or get lost somewhere in the middle before they get to the top.
Yeah, St. Noah, is it the school affiliated to Mr. Justice Mugisha?
No,
it's
just as
standard.
Mugisha is standard.
Standard High Zana.
Yeah.
But St. Noah had one of the guys who was influential in the Athletics Federation who passed away. I forget his name, but I think he was one of the guys who were behind it, and they had pushed the sports agenda in that school to make sure it's a big deal. St. Noah in Zana, right?
Yes.
Okay. Brilliant stuff there. Good one from Kyle to start off things. But staying with you, KCC, Abdallah Mobidu buying time for his buying time with that 2-0 win against UPDF in Bombo, despite going down to 10 men. The team finding a way of winning that game. Very good goal there, well taken from Usam Arafat. The other goal looked like a sort of a gift. Sadata now could just walk in the ball into the net. The
It
UPDF.
wasn't a gift, surely.
I didn't see so much effort in that goal because the defense was flat-footed, no one trying to challenge him, and then somehow the ball goes into the net. But
You want to rate the pass.
it's a different way of saying it. But
when you're done with your cases and things, I'll tell you that I was more impressed with the one that the former boy scored.
yes, KCC are winning 2-1, but there was a good goal from Chigozi.
Chigozi.
Yeah. So, but you think Abdallah Moyo has bought himself time at KCC with
Yeah.
that win?
Yeah, surely.
The assignment for him was 3 games. He's been able to win 2 and draw 1.
No, but I think that is conversation that was unnecessary from the board or the leaders at KCC, because there are a lot of things that they need to first put right before they get the gun onto the head of the coach. Because sometimes we never want to talk about things, but when you look at what KCC was doing in the times of Mutebi, and now you look at what KCC is doing currently, you feel like there are two different sides of the coin. Because while Mutebi would say, no, bring me this player, and all of a sudden the player is at the club, it's not the case currently. You look at the signings that they are making. You're bringing Sharif Sengendo from Gaddafi. You're bringing Munguchi from Gaddafi. This is a side that is going back in second tier.
Big league.
In big league. You look at the players that are now shining in Ijara. They're just coming from the junior team. So they are no longer that club that would command signings, whereby no, you're going to look at the biggest player who had more assists to Suvira from Maroons. Now bring that player into a team like this. You're going to look at, okay, who is that defender who was using the ball comfortably by a guy from Maroons? Now those signings are now instead going to teams like NEC, teams like URA. So I think sometimes you have to cut some slack on the coach and now say, this is a coach that is trying to build.
He's making the best of what he has.
Yes, and is using raw material that is not so quality. So you have to give him some time, surely. Because I do believe
he's trying to get water out of a stone.
Yes, while you look at these boys and sometimes results don't go all the way, sometimes you have to look at how they play. And then if you can analyze better, you see that they have quite a bright future with how they take on the team. Because I still do think, while you're going to leave NEC aside because of its attitude and how they play, you're going to bring KCC in the second team that always has a good tempo in the game. I normally tell people, Vipers, yes, they are playing well, but they normally lose their tempo in the 70th minute. Look at the game against Wakiso. For the last 20 minutes,
They were on the wall.
Vipers were praying for the game to end. And all the fans were nail-biting. They were sitting on edges of the seats. So when you look at KCC, you want to applaud Coach Abdallah Mubiru and all the other guys that are working with him. Because for me, yes, you want to think they are doing something good. And if they are given time, but also trusted, given some of the players that they need, but also the management, I'll go back to the management. In this case now, the board and the guys up top, the bonuses. I no longer hear that conversation of bonuses. I'll tell you for a fact, for the game that they played against Vipers, the new EDs is around. And you can't promise these boys at least like a 200 to say, man, because the EDs are around, at least throw your bodies on the line. But you don't hear anything. Yet Vipers, on the other hand, they were given 50 million for finishing top first round.
After first round.
They are promised 100 when they win. They are promised more 50 when they win before 3 games to the end. And now you hear such a team, and for you want to come with just words of motivation. Kasasiro boys, Banaba Kusite. It doesn't work like that in sport. I still think you have to pump more. You have to give these boys energy and at least something more than just salary to fight, because that is the scape of the game. And these players are friends. They know what happens. They brag when they meet somewhere. Say, from Gaga ya tusubiza chikumi. Ate mwero dime ya bagambe. So I think they can do better.
Yeah, for KCC, I think for this season they might have to be comfortable with the reality that maybe the Uganda Cup is their only realistic chance of silverware. But Franklin, Vipers, I was listening somewhere and someone made a quote that the difference between Vipers and everyone who's coming after them is that Vipers are not losing. It's not like they could be winning, but the point is Vipers is actually not losing any game, and that's the reason why they could end up winning the Uganda Premier League.
Yeah, and that is the thing with Vipers, especially at home. A match that Vipers need to win, they're always going to win it somehow. And look, you look at the chance that Waxo Giants had to equalize. Luck is very important in this in sport, as they say. Better be lucky than what? Than good. Vipers is so lucky that even when the guy was right in front of goal, he somehow put the ball wide. And look, Vipers is
easier to score than miss.
He's playing well, but they're also riding their luck, and that is very, very, very important.
The luck is with the Vipers for now, and for this week, the focus turning to the Uganda Cup.
Yeah, eight straight wins. And 8 straight clean sheets. That is massive. While in England, we have Leicester that has gone 7 straight
home defeats without even scoring a goal. That's massive for Vipers.
They should come for Ayala.
The focus this week turning to the Uganda Cup. Black Power. Wanting to throw a spanner in the works for Vipers. I don't know that will happen, but they will visit Chitende, while team is called Total, right? Total is visiting KCCA. I think the team that is desperate to do well in this Uganda Cup is KCCA, surely, because that's the only chance they have for them to win silverware this season. But can Black Power, of course, eliminated NEC at the slaughterhouse. But Black Power eliminating NEC. Can they drop another big team in Vipers in Kitende?
I think them eliminating NEC was more like a warning to other clubs. So while NEC, because when you look at that game where they took on NEC had made lots of changes. They didn't have their A team on that ground because they knew they were in flight form, then they're taking on a team in big league. Maybe we can do some rotation here and there. But I think now that NEC managed to beat, Black Power managed to beat NEC, now Vipers will come ready. They will know what they're facing. And to make it more interesting, Alan Okello will be taking on a team that is coached by his uncle. So that is also another reason to prove to the uncle that I'm not your level, you are in big league, I'm this side. So I think...
and Alan Okello coming from Lira, where Black Power is coming from.
Yes, exactly. A darling, whenever he's playing for Lango, Provis, they're always chanting and singing his name. And when they get to Chitende, it will be very different. Chitende will be at home. This is a ground that they have collected good points, so they will be on a run. But also for Black Power, they're giving you a new experience. You're playing under the lights. It's a game at night. You don't do that in the big league. Probably it's the first game you're doing so in the campaign, so it's quite tough for them.
Yeah, Franklin, in this particular round of 16, where is the Uganda Cup surprise going to come from? From which fixture do you think will be a Uganda Cup surprise? We always want the joy of these camp competitions is those shock results that happen.
I mean, obviously, you're not going to get. You can't be surprised with all UPL clashes, of course, involving Villa, Police, and all that. But I mean, while KCCA has picked some sort of form, you cannot say that they are really clear of the bad patch. And this is a game that they should go into knowing anything can happen, and you cannot take anything for granted. But at this point, I think it's not a point of where you think there's going to be any sort of shocks. I think it's going to be as straightforward as they come.
Do we want to see only the Premier League teams progressing, or you still really want the thrill of that camp competition where someone gets knocked out and you still have that cup fixture in Chigezi somewhere against maybe Vipers or KCCA, or now we are surely going to separate the boys from the men, Kyle.
Yeah, but it should come on merit. You know, sometimes we feel so sorry for these small teams, and it gives them lots of hope. You see it even from the referees. When let me say KCC is going to take on Renzori Lions, and then you see 50-50 challenges going. It should come on merit. Let these teams earn their places on the table of men. But for me, the interesting clashes will be between the UPL side, and my eye is going to be on that game between Lugazi and AC Villa. Remember, AC Villa have just won one game away from home, and that is a game where they managed to beat Bright Stars. Of course, if you're not beating Bright Stars, then who else are you going to beat? So I think now,
Ouch in Bright Stars.
of course, they are doing lots of things the wrong way. I think they should be earning their losses on the merit of losing. But on the other side, Lugazi will be taking on AC Villa. Lugazi are quite in flight form. They managed to beat Mbale Heroes 3-1 in the league. They are coming to an AC Villa that also managed to win now their first game away from home. So it's going to be interesting. More so when they are going to play Bogere's side, yet Bogere is regarded as one of the legends at AC Villa, doing quite lots of things at the club. And so now he returns as a coach, and his boys will be taking on a side that has won 9 in the Uganda Cup, because they are chasing Express as well as KCC. So it's going to be an interesting one. And then the other is going to be played today, where Police will be taking on Maroons. That is quite another good game. After Maroons losing to Neck terribly 3-1, and Police beating Express at Nachivubo.
Said that in Pola.
Yeah, but it's going to be an interesting game, surely. So the Uganda Cup this week will give us good games as we wait for the Uganda Cranes discussion later on in the week.
Okay, very, very interesting. The Uganda Cup. My apologies. KCC is taking on Renzori Lions, not Total. Total was the team that we eliminated in the previous round. So KCC are taking on Renzori Lions at. I think that's one game I should be able to watch. I haven't watched any KCC game this season. I've been always very complicated at that time. Hopefully, I can be able to catch that one.
You just didn't want to leave the ground with L's.
The last time I was there, I was watching Neck defeating us. Might have been last season. So hard because they kept dancing in front of us. So the Mupang is annoying the landlord, but nothing to do. I mean, you will have to earn our wins as well. But the Uganda Cup returning this week, and those are the fixtures, like Carl has mentioned. Some big games. Lugazi totally different ever since Bogere took over. When Shafiq Sempaji was there, they were sort of, I think the management realized quickly that we need to make a decision very, very quickly. Of course, Oliver Mbekeka taking over momentarily, but ever since Bogere came, they've just totally looked like a different team.
Yeah, the lads at Lugazi are doing lots of things in the right path, and you feel like if they keep that trajectory, then they're going to be a good side.
How is the support for them in that community? Their stadium, of course, nestled right in the middle of Mabira Forest. How is the support for them? Is it a club that is connected to the community in Lugazi, that if they are playing in Mabira, even the guys at Najembe and close shop and go and support them? How is the support for them? Have they connected with the community in Lugazi for them to feel like this is our team from Lugazi?
Yeah, the support is growing. This is a new club. It's not been there for long, but you have to respect that football has been around Lugazi for time. For that region, they have brought talents, at least here and there, and you see the team is getting onto the hearts of the community people, and I do think if they keep collecting some wins, then it will bring even other people, because they are connected to a school, Lugazi SS, and it's normally plastered onto their jerseys, and it shows you that they want to make impact, and they're meant to understand that they are also now constructing a training ground still around the same area, And it shows you that this is a stadium that they want other teams to use, the community teams to use. So it shows you that they want to be impactful in the community. And if you're doing such things, then you're impacting community, and still these guys will be giving you back the love, because now they start to feel the attachment. But if we talk about Bulgaria came in a time when Bekeka had just guided the boys past Express. However, meant to learn that Bekeka left, and he just left the club, the clubhouse that they had given her, with all the things there. So she didn't go in good terms. Now I'm not really sure of the reasons as to why she left, but I think she didn't take it so much in good spirit for Bogere to come all of a sudden. And I'm also one of the people that felt a bit, they didn't allow the woman to enjoy her glow, like you're beating Express, and then before you know, you're not allowed to enjoy the news. Because I can tell you, while we wrote these match reports, it was not more about Lugazi beating Express.
I actually thought she's still there as the assistant coach.
No,
she's Bulgaria.
Currently she's not there. She has left. When you look at the team sheets and around their last 5 previous games, she has not been around. Of course, she has not made it official to the club that she has left, but she's not around. Maybe after some time they'll have to talk to her or agree on what and what, but currently she's not there. But when you look at that team, you feel it's a team that is being worked upon by the coach, and these boys are starting to get to know what the coach wants, because Bulgaria loves it a bit physical but enjoy. Because he was a player, I'm told, because I didn't see him, but I'm told he was a player that would love to use the ball. When you look at some of the young boys that he has brought onto the team, the likes of Alvin Birungi, 17-year-old, but he always gets some minutes, and he's pushing these boys to enjoy themselves. And I think this is the difference from SMPG, because SMPG wanted a certain style that would need time, because you're building it from the back and then here and there. So some of those styles, we enjoy them when we watch these teams that have all facilities, all the time to train and all that. But sometimes when it comes to our local leagues, it takes time for that to build in. So far, when you look at the teams that have used it and it has worked, the likes of KCC, Police went down with the same style. So sometimes when you look at these teams and coaches coming on to impact them, you have to give credit to the coaches. And I, for one, I'll give credit to Wogere, because he has turned around that whole team of Lugazi.
Yeah, it's a business result. So at the end of the day, your means, the end that justifies the means. So it's important to make sure that you get the results. But as we wind up, Franklin, the rugby, very close win for the Cobs, but they got the business done. Yeah. And Pirates, of course, continuing with the form. But just very quickly, what's the wrap up there from the rugby weekend?
Yeah. One, there was not any surprises from the weekend. Teams that were supposed to win or that were expected to win won. Of course, all the big 3-4 teams: Heathens, Pirates, Cobs, Hippos won their games. But Heathens' win was more uncomfortable than the Cobs' win in Ginger. Again. Clearly, there is a problem at Heathens. They are not playing fluid as known to be. Of course, when you have, for example, Lawrence Oliver, a known winger, all his time he has played as a winger, and then he's now turned into a forward. You know there is a real problem at the club. The entire time, and look, I want to give credit to Kevin McMott for identifying that. Look, Heathens are short of forwards, and what he chose to do is to play a forwards game. He employed all his ball with the forwards, just that they were not able to execute in the right moments of the game. But in terms of knowing that this is a problem that we need to exploit as a team, I thought Kevin McMord, the coach of Victoria Sharks, got that right, just that the execution was lacking a little bit. I thought he was okay with the scrummages, but the lineouts were shaky. He just had one known jumper in Robert Aziku, but the execution wasn't really good. And you would think, I think going forward, you would understand if there is a little bit of concern with how his forwards play, and that is probably something that he's going to talk a little bit with the forwards coach Cyrus Wathum. And then the other thing is that you want to call it some sort of foul play, but not. To the best of my knowledge, I thought Charles Uhuru had left Heathens on a permanent transfer to Victoria Sharks. Yet somehow, apparently, he was barred from playing that game. In all the preparations that Victoria Sharks throughout the week preparing for the game against Heathens, Charles Uhuru was part of their preparations, of course, as their number 4. But game time, they get a communication, that is Sharks, that look, Uhuru cannot play. He's not a full member. I mean, he's not a permanent transfer to Sharks. And he was surprised. Makmoto was surprised so much, but he opted not to use him anyway.
Why does that communication come on game day? At least
exactly, that's the problem. But from the side of Victoria Sharks, they said they have a confirmation letter of the transfer of Charles Uhuru, a full transfer. Now, why he's not able to play like a lone player, I don't understand what Heathens were looking at. I thought that was some sort of foul play that was downplayed.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good, but 14-13 win there for the Heathens, and a lot of people expected the Sharks maybe to cause an upset.
It was almost. Again, like I said, the execution was lacking. I thought Sharks had a lot of opportunities, especially in their first play. They kept Heathens in their 22 for most of the second half. And the first visit that Heathens had to the Pirates, to the Sharks 22, they scored through a squad or watch. And the kind of camping that they had in Heathens 22 and they did not get a point, I still can't understand it up to now. Because 2 times they were in the try area and there were penalties committed, infringements committed in the try area, and they couldn't obviously be awarded. They had to be brought back. But I thought there was an opportunity of at least 2 drop goals, especially when they were putting together phase plays. Just that they were playing phases away from the poles instead of playing the phases towards the poles where somebody can easily get a drop ball and get through. And obviously, the wind at Chadon was a bit messy that afternoon. The kicking was not good, and from both sides. How often do you see Malcolm Okel miss 3 times? And some from point blank range, where you see Malcolm Okel is going to score this one. I think he's one of the best kickers right now in the league. The Heathen is fullback. Sometimes, of course, scrum half, fly half. But he missed kicks. And obviously, on this side of Sharks, Israel Makoka is a very good kicker of the ball, but he was terrible. But I think they were not calculating the win so well. And again, that is even why actually Sharks lost, because the try that they scored to make it 14 was not converted. Otherwise, they would have won 16-15, because it was the last kick of the game. So, it was the kicking, I think, that took out the Sharks.
Yeah, the boots they are missing for Sharks, but they could have picked up a surprise win against
the man is not talking about our win, us who support Rhinos. And I still think it was interesting, because for these games that accumulate points till the last minute, but also in football it works. Those last minute, those last minute
tries,
points, they normally excite fans. You leave the ground and you're talking about that last minute point, and you see how close you were nearly to be losers to now being on the winning side. And I still think it reminds me of the game that we're talking about between Cobs and Pirates, whereby one is trying to tell us how the whole thing came up to get space on the other side, and someone makes a try. I enjoyed the highlights, though I was not understanding a lot of what was going on. But because I have someone important in the team that I was following, I surely gave it a point to watch the game. And I'm surely rooting for Rhinos to see how far they can go, because after changing the whole system of the league that now after playing the normal league, then you go in for the last 8 and all that. It makes every game important, which keeps us as the fans on guard, because you're waiting for every game mattering to see, does your team make it to the 8 that will be going into for the playoffs? Unlike the time whereby by now people would be giving up. Sibili mu kati. Yeah, but so I think that was interesting from Rhinos.
Yeah, a very interesting
A
weekend of
last minute
rugby.
try.
Very interesting weekend of rugby. This week, like we've mentioned, a lot of action will be happening in the Uganda Cup. Teams that don't think will be able to win the Uganda Premier League, their only opportunity of them getting silverware this season. And of course, the winner of the Uganda Cup qualifies to represent Uganda in the Confederations Cup. But as well, Sharifah has given us a lowdown of what will be happening in Kenya. The Kenya Safari Rally, which is also a world rally event, will be happening this weekend. Make sure you keep it Kawowo Sports for you to get all those details. But I've had Franklin Kawero, the editor of Kawowo Sports, Edwin Kaikule, our regular panelist, and our guest this week was the one and only Rama Namagoba Sharifah, and I've been your weekly host as usual, Dennis Msali. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep reading Kawowo Sports.